Patreon Q&A number 55. I want to thank all 64 of my just super great, cool, attractive, just wonderful patrons. Guys, you know I love you so much, and thank you for continuing to support me the way that you are. Your generosity, it's just really one of the highlights of my life, and I can't thank you enough. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be some spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully after this point. Free-Tshirts asks, hey, Shonen, newest One Punch Man chapter was amazing, and now we have a solid feat from Drive Knight. So my question this week is, what is Drive Knight's disaster level, and how strong is he compared to the rest of the S-Class? Thanks so much for your work, man. So Drive Knight, let's talk about him. I gushed over him so much in my review for this chapter, but I'm going to go even further now. So what is his disaster level? Well, I estimated it to be definitely like around High Dragon, if not like a definitive High Dragon. I mean, his speed, durability, and strength abilities, I think they're all pretty applicable to that tier, especially the way that he dealt with Neon, who is a cadre and probably a mid-dragon in himself. But the thing that surprised me the most was his speed. Like, he is insanely fast, at least from a transformative stance, or at least just his movement overall. Because, like, his one speed feat, where Neon is about to, like, claw him in the face while he's in the cockpit of his chariot, his Batmobile thing, he transforms instantly into his Knight form, the centaur horse thing, and mule kicks him in the face before Neon's even able to connect with him. That's, like, ridiculously fast. It's like Flashy Flash stuff, right? I mean, I'm not saying he is as fast as Flashy Flash, but that feat is something that we've only seen from characters like Flashy Flash. Maybe the Atomic Slash and stuff that Atomic Samurai is capable of as well, but I think Drive Knight is showing that he's one of the fastest S-Class heroes right now, just based off of those feats. His durability is insane too. Like, he was tanking those feline retributions. They weren't even leaving a scratch on him. At least, like, his main form and his gold form. His strength was definitely shown to be just as... I mean, his, like, physical strength was up there with the S-Class heroes because he one-handed that huge piece of debris that fell on him. You know, reminiscent to a My Mask and Tank Top Master. That's kind of like the base level. Like, if you're as strong as Tank Top Master, then you're pretty damn strong even for an S-Class hero. And he proved that he is, for sure. All of the different forms that he has, his Bishop, the Chariot, the Air Chariot, he can friggin' fly like a jet, that's insane. And then his gold form, Cyber Boros, insane. Like, he's so powerful, and I just love it so much. Like, I expected him to be strong, but he's certainly gone above what I initially thought of him. And even that crazy thing that he does at the end of the chapter, that huge explosion, we didn't even get to see what that was. And I don't even feel that we've seen the full potential of Drive Knight yet. He's probably even stronger than this, considering that he didn't really struggle with Neon. He likely low-diffed him. So he, right for now, I'll say that he's a High Dragon, but he might even be stronger than that. But for, like, the rest of the S-Class, he's at the top tier. Like, among the rest of them, he's, like, up there with, like, Dark Shine, Flashy Flash, Bang, Tatsumaki, Blast. He's in that top tier. I'm going to make, like, an updated disaster levels video and an updated top 10 rankings, and I'll give more of an accurate answer there. But for now, I'd say he's definitely, you know, he's not, like, in the lower spectrum. He's up there with the best of the best. Bryan asked, yo, Big Z, I don't know if you're recording this before or after Adesanya versus Whitaker, but what did you think of the fight? I thought it was incredible. I loved it. I loved Izzy's performance, and I was really looking forward to this fight because it's one of those rare instances where we get to see, like, the two definitive best guys in the weight class go against each other. But not just that, but, like, they're more or less evenly matched because the odds for this fight were very close. I think Whitaker was just a very slight underdog, and both of these guys are on the pound-for-pound list. So it's, like, it's rare that we get to see something of this magnitude between such, you know, super skilled fighters. But I was surprised at how easily Izzy took him out. And I was also surprised by Whitaker's choice of attack. Like, he was headhunting him from the get-go. He was super aggressive. Like, I think this was the most aggressive we've seen Whitaker, at least in recent memory. But Izzy, man, his head movement, his ability to roll with the punches, his counter-striking, is some of the best we've ever seen in the sport, in the history, easily. Like, I think he is the best striker right now in the UFC. I think probably by a large margin. He's, like, incredible. And the way that he took care of Whitaker, who, like I said, no chump, one of the pound-for-pound best, was the champion of middleweight. Took care of him like mid to low diff, honestly. I can't wait to see more from this guy. I thought it would be way more competitive, but no, just Izzy just proved that he is one of the best fighters in the world, and I think pretty soon he'll be #1 pound for pound. It's inevitable. He is ridiculously skilled, especially for like an MMA striker. My second question is your favorite tournament in an anime. I like the Dark Tournament from Yu Best, as it really gave some of the other characters great moments. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I do think that the Dark Tournament is the best tournament in battle anime. It's my favorite, certainly. It's just so well done. Like, whenever anybody thinks about tournaments or tournament arcs, I guarantee they think of the Dark Tournament. Because, like, it is the tournament. And, of course, there are other good tournaments, don't get me wrong. But, I don't know, it's just... something about it. It was just so amazing. And yeah, it was very long, but I think it was justified in its length. Because before this, the characters didn't really have a lot of expansion or growth to them, and they didn't really have a lot of time together. Like, they had essentially just all met each other before this, and then they were grouped together to go against the Saint Beasts. So this whole arc was essential for their growth. But it also showed us, like, more depth to the world, because that certainly really gave it to us. Even though we didn't really go into Demon World, we got to see what the people from there were like, we got to see what Spirit World was like, and all of the teams, they were all super interesting. They had all their cool little dynamics to it. All of the fights were realistically competitive. The only thing that I didn't really like is that Team Toguro, a little too overpowered. It almost made it seem like it was just like there was no chance of them winning, you know, even though they do. But it was just a lot of fun, and I loved Toguro. I loved all the villains. Everything about it was just so well done. Everybody had an earned power-up. Not a lot of butt pulls. There was some, but I think they were justified. It was just so well done. I just can't praise the Dark Tournament enough. It's so good to just come back and then just watch it every now and then, because it just keeps getting better and better. Like, and it ages well too. I can't praise Yu Yu Hakusho enough, but especially the Dark Tournament arc. And then all of the fallout from this and all of the growth that we've had makes the Chapter Black arc all that much better, because you're just hungering to see all of these characters go into something else, because they've all been isolated on that island for the longest time. You know, it's like, all right, we just had this awesome arc, now that's over, let's see what's next. I can't praise it enough. Yu Yu Hakusho, one of my favorite, if not my favorite series. SLURM asks, what up, bro? Love your videos. It helps me get through the workday. Hey, that's awesome, SLURM. I'm glad I could give that to you, and thank you for the support, my friend. My question is regarding One Punch Man. How do you think Murata is going to design Awaken Garo in the manga? I know in the webcomic, one gave him a devilish look with horns, and he goes through multiple transformations towards the end of the arc. Do you think Murata is going to stick with the original designs? Also, could you give my girlfriend Lily a shout out? She's thinking about getting a Garo tattoo on her leg, and I think it's going to turn out great. So, shout out to Lily. I think you should definitely get that tattoo. It sounds like a great idea. I feel like if you should get a tattoo of any One Punch Man character, it should be either Garo, Saitama, or King, and then everyone else after that is just secondary. And also, I'm going to take a guess and thinking that she's getting, like, the Garo from Chapter 92, like, perched on that rock when he says, "The hunt is on." Just take a guess. That's probably, like, the most iconic panel of Garo right now. But yeah, shout out to Lily. Good luck with the tattoo. But as for your question, I do think that Murata is going to stay faithful to what Awaken Garo looked like in the webcomic, but of course he's going to make it phenomenal. And this is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, and I know a lot of people are too, because we really have no idea what he's going to do, but we do know that he's going to knock it out of the park, because Murata always delivers. That's something about him, is that he's so insanely talented that he's always consistent with his excellence. And I feel like he probably already has a good idea of what he's going to do with this. I'm sure he's been thinking about it since he read, you know, this chapter back in, what, 2016 when it originally, or 2015, 2016 when this stuff originally came out. So I'm sure he has a really good idea, and I'm sure he's been improving upon it since then. But I don't think he's going to drastically change it. But it will look similar to that. It will have, like, the same horns. But it really depends on how monstery he's going to make him look. But I think we kind of have some insight into what the overall design is going to look like, because what we saw of Garo back in chapter 115, pretty sure that's when we last saw him, right? That's when Prairie Prisoner ran into him. If you see him, like, his whole entire body has been, like, covered now, except his you know, his head and neck and his hands. But, like, if you see it, like, he has, like, that casing over him from the shirt that he was wearing, the burns, the flesh melding. So I think it's going to keep that overall aesthetic, like what he looks like there. And then he's going to have, like, the tattered scarf type thing coming out of his neck. But then his face, I'm really unsure how monstery he's going to go with the face. But I don't think it's going to change. I think he's still going to have, like, the horns, and he's still overall going to have, like, a more streamlined look to him. Zapphod B asks, why do you think Tatsumaki and Fubuki only refer to each other by their hero names? Do you think we may ever learn their real names? I was thinking it could have something to do with the glimpse of the past we saw in the webcomic. So yeah, I do think it has something to do with their past. I mean, because obviously Tatsumaki had a pretty terrible history, and I assume Fubuki maybe was a part of that too? I don't know. We never really see Fubuki's past other than her in high school. So, I don't know, because she's also an Esper too. So maybe she was also in that facility with Tatsumaki, possibly. I don't know. But, yeah, I do think it has something to do with her past. And maybe their names remind them of that, possibly. And that's why they only refer to each other as their hero names. Because it gives them a sense of power, and they don't feel helpless like the way that they were when they didn't have their title of hero or their hero names, possibly. So yeah, I do think that they had names, because it said that Tatsumaki was only in that lab facility prison place for 3 years, and that was 18 years ago. So she's 28 now. She was then we're going back to when she was 10, so -3. So she likely got there when she was around 7 years old. So she definitely had a life before that, although it's unclear what it was. We don't really know how she wound up in that facility, so maybe her parents sold her to that place. You know, similar to how Sonic and Flashy Flash wound up in the Ninja Village. Could be something like that, or she was stolen away. It really remains to be seen, but I do think that them referring to each other by their hero names constantly has something to do with their past and them wanting to possibly not relive it. Maybe they've just given up their original names that they have, and they are only Tatsumaki and Fubuki now. They don't really need any other identity. But as you asked, I do think we will eventually find out their real names, and we'll get down to the bottom of what their entire origin story is as well. So second question. Also, who has the higher explosion resist stats, Bang or Pell the Falcon? So I'm just going to say Bang right off the bat, but I'm not going to undersell Pell here. Pell did have a pretty impressive feat of explosion resistance back in Alabasta when he sacrificed himself for that bomb to go off. Now, I think it was said that that bomb had like a blast radius of like 3 miles or something, so that's incredible. That's a super serious bomb. But I also assumed that Pell didn't take the full force of it, because he probably would have been vaporized if he did. So I assumed that, like, right before the bomb went off, Pell probably speeded away. Like, he flew away super fast, or he dove or something, because, you know, he's super fast as a falcon. So that's very likely that he could have did that, and then maybe he just caught, you know, maybe 3/5 of the explosion or something. Or maybe he just caught the shockwave. I don't know, but I definitely don't think he took the full force of it, because he was also completely wrecked by it for like 4 days. It took him like that long to recover from it, and then he really wasn't even okay after that. So still very impressive, don't get me wrong, but Bang on the other hand is at a very different level of power than Pell is, and also like his durability I would say is way more impressive than what Pell's inherently is. But if we're comparing like the explosion that Bang took from Homeless Emperor, now, the carpet bombing that he took, I don't think it's as strong as that bomb, for sure. But the fact that Bang, like, took it head on, and then was able to get up from it, like, I don't know, less than an hour after it, I think shows that he, right there, has a higher, higher explosion resistance stats than Pell. But I don't want to undersell Pell, like I said. He's still pretty impressive, but Bang is just at a different power scale altogether. Austin J asks, howdy Shonen, my question today is inspired by the new One Punch Man chapter. Drive Night kind of reminds me of a super pumped up Inspector Gadget. What would normal Inspector Gadget's hero rank be, and what crowd would he roll with? Thanks for your hard work. So this is interesting, and I think I might have seen the Inspector Gadget movie when I was a kid, but the cartoon, I never really got a chance to see it. Maybe it was before my time. But I looked up some Inspector Gadget stuff on YouTube, and he seems like he would totally fit into the world of One Punch Man. He would definitely be like one of those like comical B or A class heroes. So I'm not really sure how far his abilities go, but just from what I've seen and what he's capable of, it seems like at the highest, he would be like a mid-level A-class hero. And at the lowest, he would be like a high B-class. Like, I don't think he'd be any lower than that. But I don't think he'd be any higher than A-class. Like, he does have a lot of gadgets and a lot of abilities. And it just seems like something that we would see from like an A-class hero or something in One Punch Man. Like, one of these support guys could easily just be Inspector Gadget. Like, I think he would fit right in. But as for who he would roll with, maybe like some of the other technological based A-class heroes, but maybe he would Emperor possibly. Maybe he would try to learn from him, because Child Emperor is like, he like moonlights as a teacher or something like that. He does teach classes. So maybe he would be rolling with him or something, but that's more or less what Inspector Gadget is like. He's like a weaker version, like a very, very weaker version of Child Emperor. But this is interesting because it totally lines up with the lore of One Punch Man. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 64 of my amazing, essential patrons. Guys, I love you so much. Thank you. I hope the Q&A is good enough to give back for everything that you've given to me. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you.